Recording in progress. So thank you all for being here. It's Thursday, April 7th, and this is the CTAT Statewide Leadership Roundtable. For those of you that this may be your first time on here or you're not frequent, then Zoom, these Zoom-based sessions that we hold are generally posted on YouTube or other media platforms. If you do not wish to have your picture displayed to public view, we want you to still participate, and you can do it with just your video off. Otherwise, your participation serves as a consent to your picture being used on CTAT platforms. So again, here in the roundtables, we always like to cover as much breaking news as possible. And for those of you that live your lives vicariously through me, then you're going to be interested in the Gene Watson concert that Chelsea and I went to last Thursday, the 31st, and it was just terrific. If you haven't seen Gene Watson yet live, then you need to go see it, because he sounds just like he did back in the early 80s, and he had the farewell party band. I don't know if David's in here or not, but they were just terrific. And so make sure you get over there. And I know that all of you are jealous. I got to see Gene Watson live, but you too can too, because he'll be coming back to Arlington and around the country, and the farewell party band. Also, this week is the Masters Golf Tournament, which is always a big week. And this is the 36th anniversary of what might be the greatest moment in sports history, when Jack Nicklaus won the 1986 Masters. You can YouTube that and watch the whole show. And one of the things, Mr. McClure, I saw him on here, and he doesn't play golf a lot. The first time that we went to play golf together, he showed up with 2 pair of golf shorts. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you have 2 pair of golf shorts? He says, well, in case I get a hole in one. So he comes prepared no matter what he's doing, just like Rodney Dangerfield did in Caddyshack. You got to be prepared, and you got to have good equipment. And so here we are at the CTAT Roundtable discussions. And like we were discussing out in the gallery before we got started, appreciate you guys putting in this time. And we're always better when we're working together. And if I could give CTAT or CTE directors in general what their most positive attribute is, it is their ability to work together and learn from each other. And furthermore, I think it's probably unique to any other group in education, the amount of time and effort they spend helping each other. So thank all of you guys for being here and putting your time in to help one another. As far as updates, just a little bit about the programming. Of course, we're getting to our last 2 next gen administrator, and then we'll start the new one in September of 2021, and that'll go through May of 2022. So if you've jumped on in an administrative role kind of during the middle of the year, you missed that on next gen, we will start a new next gen cohort in September, and we'll be getting that information out, as well as happening at summer conference. Of course, we do these monthly roundtables. We had a great winter 22 conference, and we have the summer 22 coming up that we'll talk about in a minute. We're still doing district program evaluations, and we are booked up through May. So if you would like a program evaluation during the summer, because of the conferences, we'll only probably take a couple of those. But if you'd like a summer program evaluation, sometimes that's a good time to do it, because you can kind of schedule some more flexible days. So just shoot me an email, mark@ctat.org, if you're interested. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell there, and every time we post something, it'll notify you, and you can watch those videos. Also, don't forget that the Connect CTAT form, if you're fairly new, that's available, and you just go and sign in, and you start posting and ask. A lot of people ask for curriculum, they ask for everything. They post open positions, whatever you can think of for help for a CTAT administrator, you can get it on Connect CTAT. Don't forget to sign up for the CTE newsletters on the TEA website, because I think one came out today or yesterday, and they always have important stuff and keep you up to date from TEA. And so you can go right there and hit that tile. Someone taught me that that's called a tile instead of a button now, but you can click on that tile and sign up for the TEA CTE newsletter and stay up to date. We had a great conference at Winter 22, and what's coming up in Fort Worth is the summer conference of CTAT. It's in Fort Worth, July 18th through the 21st. And we're needing presenters, and we probably haven't pushed this as enough. And we'll post the presenter link in the website, as well as send that out in email form too. But get on there, and if you presented this past winter, don't think that you can't use that same presentation, because if you think about it, only one presentation had multiple viewings, and so everything was just once. And so if you had 25 people in your workshop at Midwinter, then there was 575 that didn't get to see it. So we encourage you to redo those presentations that were at Midwinter, and 2, even 3 times. And so that gives more people a chance to see the terrific stuff that you're doing at your district and your terrific presentations. So get on there at the summer and sign up for that presentation. And if you present it at Midwinter, you're done. You don't even, just kind of touch it up and tweak it. So we encourage you to use those multiple times. Also, that presenters link is live, and Robin just posted the presenters link in the chat box, but that link is live, and you can go on there and do that just as soon as we get off the Zoom, or during the Zoom. Heck, we don't care. And then also, if you have a law enforcement program, then the CTAT holds a law and public service conference, and that conference will be June 20th through the 23rd. And encourage your law and public service teachers to attend that. And we are looking for presenters for law too. We won't need near as many, because a lot of the topics are already pre-decided, but we need some great presentations. So if you have a good law and public service teacher and they're doing a good job, something that they could share with other teachers to help, reach out to that person and show them where the website is and ask them to present. We would love to have them. And just like you administrators, those teachers learn best from each other too, especially the law teachers, because they're such a unique group. And of course, the presenters link for the law conference is live too. And you can go to ctat.org and then go to learn, and that's where all of the conference information is. Also right now, PT, if you don't mind, as CTAT president, do you have something to share with the group?
Yes, sir. I was going to see if Robin could kind of go over the survey that was sent out just a second and kind of shift it over there to her.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to pin you, Robin, if I can find you. Okay.
Posted in the chat. Hang on one second. Okay. Thank you, PT. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. President. Coming out of COVID presents a lot of opportunities for us. It has been an incredible time of disruption. And with that comes opportunity. So our board of directors, about every 3 years, reviews our strategic framework and makes adjustments in where our organization is going, asking tough questions about how we're meeting our members' needs, the direction CTE programs are going, and how to position CTAT to best support all of you. And so we're going through a feedback process right now. So we have and I'll post it here in the chat in a second, but we've got a member survey out, and in that survey lists sort of the strategic framework we've been following the last, I want to say 6 years. And so don't worry, the survey has options for I'm not familiar with this particular thing, and that's certainly acceptable. We'd like to know that too. If we're not doing a good job communicating about something that CTAT offers, we want to know. There are options for you to put in there, like for example, for professional development, or for advocacy, or for diversity, equity, inclusion, the trainings we offer. There are opportunities in the survey for other, which means you can put in your feedback, so it is welcome. The board would love to hear from each of you on this call. You guys are some of the most engaged members we have in CTAT. And I'd like to encourage everybody to take a minute and take that member survey. It's fairly short, and we sure would appreciate it. So I'll give you an example. We met with area presidents during the winter conference, and we wanted to do like a live, roundtable. How are we doing? What do you need? And what are some opportunities for us? And one of the things that came out of that discussion was can CTAT help train CFOs on the importance of PEMS coding, its impact on finance and accountability? And so Mark and I talked about it. We reached out to our friends at TASBO, and they were delighted to have an opportunity to partner with us to offer that training. So we've got a meeting next week to collaborate on that. But that's an example of something that's really positive that comes out of feedback. So we want yours. Thank you.
Fantastic. PT, anything else?
Yes, sir. I would like to kind of go over what the CTE Leadership Committee went over. That's our view. All right. So on Wednesday, March 30th, we met, and they talked about how the finance report will look different in the future. Instead of having the V1s, 2s, and 3s, with the 1.35, there'll be a different look at that. As far as like with the V1, you'll have a tier 1 amount, your V1 with tier 2, V1 with a tier 3, and so on and so on. Like V2, you'd have tier 1, 2. I mean, it would be a lot more difficult now than what it has in the past. Instead of just these 1, 2s, and 3s of 1.35, and these will be coded by service IDs and PEMS. I know that's kind of not new information, but it was. I think they're still going to have some training out there for folks on that. Anyway, they talked about how the CTE extended year will count for CTE, but no additional funding will be given for the summer. The PEMS will shift to 4 times per year, so they can gather more of that data. The awarding of credits still remains the mastery of the TEKS. Your IBC reporting, it's the earned credit for CCMR. IBC passed versus earned, like if there's multiple parts needed to earn certification. For example, the student might have passed a written exam, but fingerprints are needed to earn that. So they would need to do all of what is needed to be earned versus actual passed. If there's 2 parts of the test and you submit for reimbursement for part 1, you can't submit for a reimbursement for part 2 later on down the line. So I gave an example of Microsoft Word also is like a standalone test, and it's kind of a past earned in the same thing, but cosmetology, for instance, has a written and practical skills, written and practical skills are required. And then they went to talk about how the new IBC list will be in July, and they're being evaluated in April and May. And some of us on the leadership committee were asked to be on that team, and I'm sure they would welcome others as well. So, and if I missed anything, some of the other ones on the committee would be, I'm welcome for them to share. Go ahead, Bonnie. Bonnie's
so I'm also on there, and one of the other things is they were talking about allowable and the unallowable expenditures and how they're wanting to try to develop a more clear list. So we may have opportunity to all participate in adding to that, because we have so many people that ask questions, because it gets a little confusing of, what can I use this for? What can I not use it for? And there is information out there that we already have access to, but sometimes we all know there's this one thing or something comes up and you really don't know where to go with it. So there should be things coming in the future where I think we all are able to contribute to that list, and it'll become a more user-friendly type of format. That's the only thing I had to add.
Outstanding. Anything else, PT?
Yes, sir. If I could unmute. No, sir. I'm fine. Everything's good.
Fantastic. Hey,
Thank you.
but before we get on, we sure have been lucky with CTAT presidents, and I mean, probably, like I say, I'm an old timer. I've been 20 years in CTAT, but probably the last 5 or 6, I'd say the officers have probably been as good as we've ever had. And they might not be as funny as some of the old guys we used to have or as crew, but they're certainly fantastic officers, and we appreciate all you guys do, present and past.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna get on to the share, and we have just a few more updates. And there's kind of been an organic building of the putting together ARD meeting handbook. And Jessica Locke at Grapevine is working on that with Amanda Shaws at New Braunfels. And this is still in the planning phase, but there's a web link meeting, and we sent that out on the CTAT chat. And Jessica, when we get back into open forum, I may ask you to speak to that a little bit more. Also, in the CTAT chat, there were some requirements from SBEC for some changes to the personnel assignments. Everything I looked at was just a minor change, and it changed from like trades and industrial from vocational, just minor technical changes, or a change of 127 to a 130. Nothing major in terms of teacher certifications and assignments. Don't forget, those of you that are like me and procrastinate, your CLA deadline is May 6th. And also on the TEA update that came out this morning, they put out the new weighted tiers funding sheet, just like PT was talking about. Everything, the funding is based on tiers, and the auto coding lookup table. So you can click, those links all come from there. And this will also be included in the May CTAT chat if you lose it between now and then. Or I'll send that to you if you email me, but it's on the TEA website on their newsletters, because this was in today's newsletter. Okay, and also, like PT was telling you about, some of the business offices used to, we could just give them the FTEs and we would be fine. But now the business offices, I was working with Ryan Contreras and his CFO, and they were asking for the funding levels by tiers. And so we went into the spreadsheet that we developed at CTAT for the members to use to project revenue, FTEs based on enrollment. And we came up with this patch in the current spreadsheet. This summer we'll completely redo it, but right now we have a patch. So if you will put your enrollment in, if you want this, just send me an email and I'll share it with you. I should have, and the reason why I just don't put it out is because it's kind of got some weird instructions, because it's a patch. You guys have computer people in your district, you know, the worst thing you say is a patch. But so anyway, if you take and you put your enrollment in and then you sort by tiers, you will come up and it will give you the total by tiers. And then you can go in and you can actually give your CFO the projections by FTEs that you're looking for. The whole key is that it's got, once you put your enrollment in, you have to sort by tiers, because if you don't, then these numbers are going to be off. But that's easy enough. I just don't want anyone to get out there with bad instructions or bad info. And if you email me your spreadsheet, if you're not spreadsheet oriented, I'll sort it for you and lock it and send it back. So, and Robin, probably that's something that when we do the CFO joint training, that's something that they're going to be wanting from us, is ways to come up with those different tier FTE projections. Again, Sammy from EduThings, and the last time he was saying, based on information from EduThings, is that they saw an average gain of 3.16% from districts, about 25%, and about 75% of the districts are showing a small loss in funding. Of course, you can't go by this year because this is the first year. We'll have to see how that goes over a whole cohort as they go through programs of study. And my guess is that everyone will go up a little on average, but as of right now, Sammy is following that through EduThings, and that sample size is of all the districts in EduThings. So Sammy, you're in here, appreciate for that info. And like Robin was talking about, the CTAT and the TASBO working on training for CFOs, and I just want to say that I think it's incredible that the area presidents, they have some great input, and you can go to your leadership committee, your area presidents, and this was a direct feedback from that area presidents meeting that was at Midwinter putting this training together. And Robin goes to the ringleaders conference, and she got with the ringleader at TASBO and put that together. And so hopefully that helps. Don't forget, we don't want to be upset like Judge Smells, and when he's got a clutch putt to make, he uses his old Billy Baru. And when you have clutch information you need, CTAT and your field of directors is a good one to go to. So I'm going to exit out of this, stop sharing, and go back to the gallery view and see what questions we have. It's all yours. Jessica, Jessica, are you in here?
I am, Mark.
Do you mind speaking just a couple of minutes on the ARD handbook that is kind of being roughed together right now? I know you guys are in phase 1, but do you mind touching on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Heather Blount with Region 13 is actually working on something alongside TEA. And so there's something already in the works previously to our group getting together. And so she's going to try to jump onto our meeting. And then we have a few other districts that have already established an ARD handbook, and they're going to share some of their resources. And then we're going to have a Google Drive where we can all add any input that we have, and people can pull from there as well. And so we're finalizing the agenda. Amanda's been really on top of that. And so we're going to have the agenda finalized for what exactly Monday will look like. But right now we have 3 or 4 different guest presenters that are already doing this effectively. And then Heather's input based on what she's working on with TA. But that meeting will be Monday at 3 for anyone that can join us. But if you can't join, I'll be happy to share a recording or add you to the Google Drive as well, to where you have the resources.
And hopefully we will be able to host that Google Drive, at least the link to the Google Drive on the CTAT resources website. And for those of you that don't know, Jessica, her job is one of her primary duties is attending ARDS. And her and Amanda reached out through CTAT Connect, and they were looking, and so the networking just started, and it grew, and they've jumped on and taken a leadership role, and you guys are just doing fantastic work, and we're here to help you however we can. So does anyone have any questions about that process? All right, fantastic. It's open for whatever you guys have.
Okay, so I'll bring up what I mentioned at the beginning. So since we have a few more here, part of one of the other jobs that I do, one of the other hats that I do is to monitor excessive absences and deal with recovery of time, credit recovery. So I was talking to a teacher that's here. They are friends with a counselor at another district in Texas, and they mentioned that there is been a new law that's been passed. I do not know the name of the law, or I would have looked it up. And so I'm just wondering if anyone else has heard of this, of where the hours owed are not going to be counted anymore. Like, you do not have to worry about getting the kids to recover that time, that if they pass the class, they get the credit and it's not connected anymore. Because I have not heard that. I don't think my district has heard that. And so we're operating still on, if you don't make it the time, you don't get the credit, no matter if you passed or not. So I do have up the accounting handbook. I've tried to scroll through it. I haven't found anything yet, but I was just wondering if anyone else had heard that.
Bonnie, while you were talking, Allison Vincent posted something in there. Allison, was that related to that subject? It looked like it was.
Well, it's related to the tier calculations. It looks like Skyward, the latest Skyward update, they're going to start calculating the tiers in Skyward by summer submission.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Bonnie, I thought that had to do.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much for finding that, because that's very useful. Does anyone else know anything about the change in the attendance procedures, that you don't have to meet the time requirement and make up the time? Or I don't know if that means they're still an administrative plan or a principal plan or.
Mark, that's what I was going to say. I mean, or is Bonnie talking about the exception that a principal could make for a student? I mean, I think that's always been in there, and it may not be. I haven't been an assistant principal or dealt with attendance in 4 years or in 6 years, but.
To admit, what I've shared is all I know. So I'm just digging now. I'm just trying to figure out, because the teacher who was sharing it with me didn't have all the information either. She was going to try to find the name of the law. So I said, I haven't heard of this. And if it is something that's, I would figure it would be a really like big topic people would be talking about, because it is still, the 90% rule, state law, you have to be at school. So I'm not sure how we award credit if a student hasn't met that portion. And so I'm not sure if I don't have all the information. That's what I guess I'm getting at, but so I'm trying to find it.
Mr. Parkerson, have you heard anything at the ESC related to that?
Nothing at all, Marcus. That's all new to me too.
Well, I've learned that just because I hadn't heard it, don't mean it hadn't happened. So,
hey,
that's
Bonnie, Jessica
important to
said,
everybody.
and that's what we're going through the district of innovation process right now too. And that's one thing that some districts have done, like Jessica said, is waive that 90% rule for extenuating circumstances. So if this teacher came from a DOI district, that might have been one of their practices. So you might check in with DOI.
Rachel, do you know if that would depend on what your DOI said, or is that generic?
No, it would, if you have it written in or not.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank
Fantastic.
y'all.
Thank you, Miss Anderson. Anyone else have a good topic? Robin, there was one. Go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
I have a CCMAR presentation for the board coming up, and I was wondering if anybody had an update on 773 and our completers and accountability.
Travis, the last time, and I reached out to Donna for the March meeting, and at their last meeting, they had not talked about it. And so there's not been any update sent as far as, now completers by law will eventually figure into accountability somehow. But I haven't heard what that hasn't been released what that is yet. And PT,
Okay,
yeah.
Is it supposed to count for class of 2022?
It was supposed to count for class in 2022, but if you remember, they were going to count level 1 and level 2 post-secondary certificates back in 2018, and that waited a year. So it wouldn't be unprecedented for it to wait a year, is what I'm saying. But the intent was for it to count with the 2022 graduates.
Thank you.
PT, if y'all had better information, or Bonnie or some of you guys, did y'all get any hint on that at the leadership meeting? It didn't sound like they did, Travis. Or
No.
Robin, there was a question in the chat about next year's Midwinter. Has a decision been made on location for next year's Midwinter yet?
All right, y'all, we are going back to Galveston. Winter of 2023, we're going to be at the Galveston Island Convention Center. And if you'd like to go ahead and pencil in the dates, it's going to be January 30th through February 1st. We are going down to the coast, and CTAT would love it if you would join us there.
Well, there you go. That's hot off the grill.
Do
Isn't
the
it,
volume
Robin?
here, right?
Yeah.
Robin, while everyone's on here, do you mind sharing just a minute or two about how that process is made? I think that's real interesting, how the decision is made on where the conferences go to.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this is a good problem to have. So we've outgrown the spaces that we've been using. And I don't think it's any secret here how packed we were at Winter. And we're grateful that everybody was gracious and had patience at Winter. But we've outgrown locations. And the hard part about finding a new home for our main conferences, the winter conference and the summer conference, is that the dates that we meet are the dates that a whole lot of other education related associations meet in Texas that are our size or larger. And so trying to get our preferred dates is really tricky. So what we do is we prepare an RFP that outlines our space needs, our hotel accommodation needs, and we send that to convention and visitors bureaus. We send it to specific hotels. And so the size we are now, there are only like 12 convention hotels in Texas that can hold us. And that's not a lot of properties. So we send that out to them and they let us know whether or not they have date availability and, you know, kind of what the hotel room rates would be. So having a need as soon as winter of 2023, most of the properties we contacted said we can't do it. You know, we don't have space available, or we might entertain it if, you know, you can take your food and beverage budget 6 times higher and have a hotel room rate of $275 a night. So we kind of have to balance all that. But based on the feedback from the executive committee, I mean, dates are really a major driver, you know, and obviously we need to have space that's large enough to accommodate us. So Galveston had space available in 23, excellent rates financially for CTAT. It's going to be, you know, we're not going to worry about being able to afford being there. And same thing for our attendees, the hotel rates are quite reasonable. So you might spend a little bit more traveling there, miss a couple more hours of work, but you need a break, and that's okay. So we're going out for the RFP process for summer conference. We currently go every even year to Fort Worth. And so we're looking for to see if there's a space we can kind of call home for every odd year, or evaluate whether, you know, and just see what's out there. And so we're leaving no stone unturned. We, it's important that the executive committee and our board are informed about this process and really have buy-in, you know, because they represent you guys. So we had a call with the executive committee yesterday, and we have a pretty extensive tracking mechanism. So they've had a chance to look at that. But as we go through this process, we talk with the executive committee about what's coming back in. And we really haven't made decisions without talking to them. So we plan to do the same thing when we're looking at summer conference location. And so, oh yeah, and I see that, yeah, Kalahari. So I looked this morning and they have plenty of event space. So I've heard they're really expensive, but we'll see. You know, looking at what's coming back in, the hotel room rates are not what they used to be. So I think we're really fortunate that we're getting a good deal for everybody in Galveston, and we'll see what we can do going forward.
Thanks, Robin. I just, that's interesting to me. And I know that the feedback, you get feedback formally and informally, and it's all interesting. And I know that it's all taken to heart. You guys never hesitate to share ideas because they're used. I know that for sure. And Galveston's always good because Mr. McClure and I will lead a dolphin tour on Monday night. Won't we do that, Mark, on Monday night? Okay, very good. So yeah, what PT, Miss Anderson, PT just posted a link to the Texas Education Code 25092 for minimum attendance class credit. So hopefully that, did you see that in there? Excellent. Thanks, PT, for that in there.
It's been there a while, but it's anyway, it basically states a student is in attendance for at least 75%, but less than 90% of the days of a class is offered, may be given credit or a final grade for the class if the student completes a plan approved by the principal. And I just wanted to give that kind of verbiage. It goes on, but still. But
yeah, and I was just reading through it, and everything that's listed there right now is what we do,
Right.
which is our time recovery, you know, do your detention or Thursday night school or whatever. But it was just news to me as they were saying, it's like, it doesn't matter at all. You don't have to worry about it. And so I was just like, oh, wow, okay. So anyway.
Yeah, that kind of sounded like the old rules. We appreciate you guys. Okay, what's next? Any good topics? Ms. Hendricks, what's happening in Pflugerville? Anything good?
Master scheduling. Yay.
Yeah, very good. Anybody have any master scheduling woes?
We have quite a few campuses that were told they needed to cut pretty significant numbers of teachers.
Oh,
Class size ratios were raised to 30-1. And they were initially told not to touch CTE, and now they're going back and telling them, if you can't get it through your core, start looking at CTE. So I'm furiously trying to build master schedules that protect them.
yeah. Tracy, I'm gonna tell you one of the things that I've seen going through, and I look at some districts that have 5-year averages on their FTE counts, is that last year their average dipped on their FTE count, because if they took hold harmless, then they didn't get their rate of growth that they have been achieving. So that's it shouldn't affect teachers, but I'm afraid that they're going to try to overcorrect and cut some teachers out, and then next year when they show up to school have a lot more kids than they think they're going to have. That's my fear. Anyone else have anything of major importance? They're pretty tame today, isn't it, Ramen? Okay, well, if we don't have anything else and no other questions, then I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll always stay on here for the Slack at the end. So Ms. Hendricks can get back to scheduling. I know she can't wait, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you. We will have another roundtable in May, and that may be a lot more lively as we learn new things about accountability. But for right now, I do, Mr. Parkerson, while I see you on here, I do want to promote one thing that's going to happen at this year's summer conference at CTAT. Is Mr. Parkerson and his team at the Service Center, they're going to do a mid-level training or a level 2 training for administrators. And we had that request quite a bit at Midwinter. And so if you've already been to new administrator training a couple, 3 times, then you're probably ready for level 2. And Mr. Parkerson, we appreciate you guys stepping up and doing that. Would you like to address it in any way?
Yeah, we're pretty excited. And, we know that our mid-level and our upper-level administrators probably are going to know a whole lot of what we're going to present, but we just want to present it in a logical way so that you just have the information at a way that you can get to it. So we're pretty excited. We're going to get deeper into your finances. We're going to get deeper into budgets, deeper into PEMS, things like that our newer guys probably not ready for, but you mid-level guys, we're going to help you tell your story about your district. And once you do that, you'll be pretty excited about some of the options that you have.
Well, we sure appreciate you guys. And I know it's going to be fantastic. If you were up there on the second floor at conference and you were in that conference, the session that was pouring out into the hall about 4 deep, that was Mr. Parkerson and his team and on CTE culture. And that was one of our most popular sessions. So we reached out, and they're going to touch on that and help you tell the story of your CTE. And Robin, that was another thing that came from the area presidents meeting, was requests for more training for upper level administrators, and especially in PEMS, and they're going to address that. So I'm going to thank you, sir. And I'm going to stop recording. Thank you for being here, and enjoy your beautiful weekend, and let's everybody root for Jordan Spieth.